This lesson is all about different cuts of meat and basically where they come from on the animal. We're going to talk mainly about beef and pork, but we are going to talk a little bit about poultry as well. As far as just like general meat carcass information goes, typically speaking, if we're looking at beef, pork, lamb, and goat that are raised for meat, if they're processed before they're 2 years old, they're going to yield higher quality meat, so they're just going to taste better. Older animals are processed, so it's not like after they're 2 years old they're done. That's not really how it goes. We will process older animals, but the quality of the meat is usually lower, which means that a lot of times you end up, that's what you get at like McDonald's or something like that. It's not going to be a 5-star steak dinner out of a 3-year-old animal. So pretty much what happens is there's humane guidelines for stunning an animal, basically knocks them out. And then once they're knocked out and they can't feel anything, then the carcass is bled out. And it's hung upside down on a rail, and that's how we end up processing them. So that's how the skin is removed, and then all the different cuts of meat are processed at that point. So first they're processed into what's called wholesale or primal cuts. These wholesale cuts are then going to be broken down into either what are called subprimal cuts and or retail cuts. I've got some examples of this coming up. So for example, here's a beef example. So over here on the right you see our beef animal, and all of these lines represent wholesale cuts of beef. Okay? And so each one of those little sections is a wholesale cut. So we're going to look specifically at the chuck, and the chuck is right here on the shoulder, like shoulder, top of the chest area. Okay, so that's the wholesale cut. The subprimal cut for that would be the blade. Okay, and that's a cut that comes from this giant chunk, but it's going to be smaller. Okay, and then that blade can be processed even further down into a blade steak. So here's a pork example. So here's our little piggy, okay? And again, remember all these sections are wholesale cuts, okay? So you've got pig's feet, ham, bacon, loin, spare ribs, Boston butt, picnic shoulder, and the jowl. So we're going to look specifically at the loin. Okay, so the loin runs right down the back. The subprimal of this would be the tenderloin, which is just a smaller cut right about in here. And then from that, you're going to get loin chops. We're going to stop there for this go round, and we're going to talk about cuts of beef in the next video.